Hello, and welcome to What Moves Us, the podcast where we ask what moves us, or more accurately, what's going to move us in future.
With the Rail Innovation Group's Johanna Randall and Liam Henderson, we look at debates, themes, and decisions of the minute that will impact on the way we get about in the future.
Hello, Mike. How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
I am very well. Where are you today?
I am at home, North Nottinghamshire, sat in my office, and it's too warm.
What was your home office before it was your office?
It was a mud piece of a hole in the ground. We had it built during the beginning of the pandemic. We're having some work done on the house, so we thought we'll have a little office built in the garden, which was a nice idea. But it gets very, very warm in here. So.
Right. I'm just going to have an image of you sitting in a mud hole in the
No, it's actually quite nice now. I can't. It's still not finished. That's another problem, but I'm probably not meant to mention that on this podcast. Yeah.
Right. So we are speaking today about Nomad Digital. So here's your opportunity. Would you like to introduce your name, your full name, and your company?
Yep, I'm Mike Butler, Head of Innovation at Nomad Digital, which is part of Alstom Group. But Nomad Digital provides IP-based solutions for the transportation sector, from rail, trams, buses, etc. So we put intelligence onto vehicles so you can extract more value and extract more information from your rolling stock, from your bus, whatever. So we are very much focused on connectivity, but with the also being able to actually use what we have as a processing platform to host SMEs applications or solutions, our own solutions, so passenger information systems, remote condition monitoring, etc., etc. So we do anything on board to try and extract value to hopefully improve passenger experience, operational efficiency, and stuff like that.
Right. Comprehensive then.
Very much so. Very much so. Yes. So obviously following the emerging market. What's that? Sorry.
I said a solution for all customers.
Very much so. Yes. Yeah. So yeah, we've customers who are doing infrastructure monitoring, all the way to ones who are just who just run buses for getting people from A to B. So
great.
Yes.
And they're based in Newcastle, aren't they?
That is right. Yeah. Yeah.
So are you remote, or do you work back and forth?
Remote mainly. Go to Newcastle occasionally, but I have to say, as I came back to Nomad coming up to 2 years ago in the middle of the lockdown, I've not been very many times, but I'm quite used to that work remote in my last 2 jobs previously. So since leaving Network Rail, I've not really been in an office, which people think is a good idea. So.
All right then. And when you do go to Newcastle, are you training or driving?
Train.
Okay. Good answer. Right answer. So we're doing this interview today because Nomad Digital is a member of the Rail Innovation Group. So it's really to get you to know you a bit better. So we did discuss some potential questions, of which I'm going to pick the first one, which is, why did you choose to engage with us?
Because I think it was something we were lacking. We saw the membership of Rail Innovation Group and saw the sort of representation in the companies you were engaged with, and we are a bit hit and miss when it comes to engagement with SMEs, with other companies. And I thought it was a brilliant forum for us to actually get involved with and meet new companies, hopefully collaborate with, learn some new things, and actually be a bit more visible in this side of the rail market. I think we've always been innovative, but we've not been very good at publicizing it, which I think the group gives us the opportunity to do that, hopefully. So
okay, so we did see you at Innotrans with your very big, impressive stage, so that was good. But how have you have you found this helps your engagement, or
into Innotrans?
Well, being a member, going to Innotrans, doing those things. So you said you weren't, weren't brilliant at engagement. So I'm asking, have you developed that?
No, I think there's been a couple of there's been some engagement with some of the members, which has been on the back of joining in the weekly calls, which has been nice. But actually, some of the publicity and the exposure you've given us has been very good for us in terms of social media. Instead of having the traditional LinkedIn post from Nomad, you've actually retweeted, you've linked into some of the work you're doing. So yeah, invaluable, because it also puts us into a new area, a way of exposing ourselves. Excuse the term.
Okay, well, we'll take credit for all of that. That's good. Loving these answers. So, as a more, let's say, sizable company, you're obviously engaging through the group with much newer, smaller companies, startups. So, do you find that you're able to maintain the pace of innovation as the smaller companies? I'm going to say, basically, once you get bigger, how do you keep innovating?
I think that's the difficulty. The bigger you are, the harder it is to change, stay agile, be responsive to the market. So actually engaging with the SME groups help us do that. They give us exposure, give us capabilities that we can not exploit, but partner with to offer new things to our customer base and new customers. In terms of Nomad, yes, we've had to start looking at things differently. We've got to look at how we can add value to the install base we already have, but how we extract more value from what is potentially classed as a passive sensor on board of a train. So this has been difficult because the market is continually changing. I think we'll discuss it a bit, that sometimes it doesn't move. It has wonderful ideas but that never implements them, which can be frustrating for some companies. But we've continually got to evolve and look at where the market potentially is going to meet customer needs.
Right.
And I would say there's been in the traditional market of Nomad, which was passenger Wi-Fi from, when was it, 20 years ago. That was probably an easier ask, because it was a new technology coming onto rail. So people wanted to have connectivity to and from the train. It was addressed to an extent, limitations on the mobile coverage. But after that, what else can you do? And actually what we're introducing onto onboard vehicles is a very powerful processing unit. We're introducing IP networks. We're connecting sensors which were previously not connected. And so we now need to look at what can we do with those sensors on board of the train to extract some more value, to give the operators, the passengers, more data, which is actually going to be a benefit to them rather than just be a hindrance.
Right. So you're actively developing new ways to use your products rather than new products.
I think it's a mixture of both. I think looking at so if we look at how a CCU, a communication control unit on board of a train, which is the sort of central hub for connectivity on board, actually that's capable of doing a hell of a lot more. So it's almost like a data center. So we can look at what else we can use with that, but then we can introduce new products onto the train that can utilize that central processing unit to be the hub, the intelligence, the processor, to start doing more and more on board of a vehicle, not necessarily also a train. It can be a tram, it can be a bus as well. So
okay. And then I'm assuming that those units can also go on sort of any,
if it moves, you can go on it.
Anything that moves. Okay. And is that your background?
My background was background was been infrastructure monitoring. So I was always putting systems onto trains to try and extract data or extract information to look at the condition of certain assets. So for example, I did a project on GSMR monitoring. I did video analytics systems, the original video systems on board Network Rail's yellow trains. It was to try and put things onto a train to try and get a better viewpoint of how the asset was evolving or degrading over time. And so my background has always been putting systems onto trains or infrastructure to collect condition data.
Right. Okay. So, okay, right. So, and also then I guess the question is, does your innovation stem from competition or stem from sort of good thoughts?
It's a good question. I think it's a mixture of both. You have to innovate to stay ahead of your competitors, but you also have to come to your customer base with new ideas. They don't want to be coming to you telling you what their problems are. You need to be looking at where the market's going, where the problems potentially are, and going to your customer and saying, we think we can improve your efficiency by doing X. So I think it's a mixture of both. You've got to make sure you're ahead of your competitors, but you've also got to actually come up with your own ideas, because you can't have everyone coming up with the same things.
Right. Okay.
Okay.
I have a question that I'm just gonna bank for now, which is about where the market is going. But given you seem to know how to develop it quite well, then is for the smaller companies, would you suggest that they follow the same process then, as in sort of have one key thing that you can build on, or is it a case of find the gaps?
I think there's two ways to look at it. There are gaps all over the market, but there's actually new ways to do existing things. So I look at a lot of SMEs trying to get into the rail market, and they get very, very, very frustrated about the slow pace of things, or lots and lots of trials, lots of innovation money, but the actual market never emerges. So they've got to. I'm trying to think of the best way of saying it. They've got to sort of not spread themselves too thinly and look at where they want to be, but don't become too dependent on one customer, because the politics can get in the way. People can change, and next thing you know, they've got an idea that gets blocked, and they go nowhere, and they just drop out the market. So they've got to be very specific on what they're trying to achieve, but also don't get frustrated by rail.
Right. Have you ever got frustrated by rail yourself?
Oh, very endlessly. 22 years of frustration, and it's luckily I've worked for bigger companies, so there's probably a bit more tolerance to failure. But if you're an SME with limited budgets, there's only so much you can tolerate before you think enough's enough. I've got to go and focus on another market.
Yeah. Okay. So, what would you say is a top tip?
Don't be scared to collaborate, because actually there's a lot of a knowledge base out there that can help you with lessons learned. There's the likes of yourselves who have got a lot of experience in the rail market. There's a lot of big groups like ourselves are happy to work with SMEs and help guide them and help put even business plans together to help them develop a product. We can even help with the whole development of a product, but don't be scared to collaborate, because the vast majority of companies are there to help you.
So going back to the market aspect is keeping up with the market and keeping up with the sector. Obviously, we've had the news recently that GB, Great British Rails, is paused / may or may not be happening. We don't know. We have a new transport secretary yesterday. So as the market is changing / not changing / we don't really know what's happening. Do you see similar, well, I'm guessing that's lobbing so much uncertainty in it, but do you think that is happening elsewhere, or is it a particular rail problem?
I think the pandemic's created uncertainty everywhere. There's budgets have been slashed. There's people aren't willing to invest because they don't know whether the passenger numbers are going to come back in a short period of time. So I think it's a problem which exists not just in rail, on bus, on or public transport, and not just in the UK. Everywhere globally, the market has suffered in the last 2 years. I think UK, and I will give the likes of Network Rail some credit. Network Rail has always been, I think, ahead of other countries when it comes to looking at ways to make the railway safer and more efficient. But like most companies which are tied to the government, they can be quite bureaucratic and slow moving. So I think the GB Rail thing is going to cause more uncertainty, and in the short term, is this going to stop? I think it's going to stop investment yet again, or it's going to pause investment for a longer period of time. And I don't think I thought GB Rail at least started to devolve the whole structure more of Network Rail back into the routes, the responsibility onto the Roscoes to invest, into the operators to look at new ways and innovative ways to manage their operations. And I think now you're in limbo yet again. So, but that's going to happen. I think that's happening elsewhere as well.
Yes. So do you work internationally?
Yes, we do. So Nomads, we've got customers in France, SNCF, major one. We've got customers in California, CCJPA, Via Rail, Metrolinx in Canada, NSB. Globally, in Australia, we've got remote condition monitoring systems out there, as well as being passenger Wi-Fi and other systems. So yeah, we're a global company, and obviously we also tie into the Alstom supply chain as well, which gives us even greater exposure with new rolling stock.
Right. So where would you say the bright spots are? Not that we're encouraging innovators from the UK to go abroad, but where are they?
I've got to say, I think the US is I think the US is a massive market. It's untapped. Biden's given, I think, is it over $1 trillion for investment into public transport in roundabout ways. I think their desire to try and get people out of the car is now serious, rather than the Donald Trump years where there's nothing wrong with the car. I think North America is an untapped market. I think there's massive potential in the metros, on the buses within some of these major cities, and you've also got the major operators like Amtrak. But actually, you look at what's out there in the US, road, rail, light rail, whatever. I think, a very, very new market or untapped market to actually start putting very good ideas that have been developed elsewhere and new ways of doing things, and hopefully entice the Americans out of their cars.
Oh, yes.
Which would be nice.
Progress,
eventually, but yeah.
So bringing it back to home then is, if you're based, so you do have these international opportunities and markets, but then you're based in Newcastle. And I was wondering, is being based up there, does that, I say up there, I'm in London, does that, South London, not a podcaster from North London, does that help or hinder national and international growth and development?
I've got to say, we have the majority of people are up in the northeast, but we do have offices in Belgium, development centres in Belgium and in Germany. We do bits elsewhere as well. But I would say, on the whole, no. It maybe in the very early days, it used to be a hindrance in terms of keeping people in the northeast, but Newcastle's a party town, so people want to stay there. But also, you've got Newcastle University is part of I think it's one of the key members of UCRIN, but there's a lot of people up there, a lot of competence, and there's a lot of good ideas up in Newcastle. And I think the danger is that the market's very, very buoyant at the moment, so people are looking for what's best for them. So it's probably attracting people is very easy. It's keeping hold of them it's a challenge for all businesses at the moment. But no, I think nowadays, remote working, end of the pandemic, whatever, people are a lot more. They can work anywhere, so I don't think it's an issue whatsoever.
Okay, cool. And so the working style that you have is very much flexible then, I guess.
Yes, yeah, very much so. Yeah, and it's got to be, and of course, because we're trying to support different time zones as well, you've got to be. So I think gone are the days where you're having to force the whole workforce into sit in an office and look at each other longingly. Don't do that anymore.
But they come for pub nights, do they?
Well, yeah, pub nights are good. Yeah. I'm too old for all that now. So.
What? Well, you haven't got your camera on, so I can't judge. But
you saw me in Berlin. I'm very grey. I went grey at 18, so there we are.
I actually didn't manage to see you very much in Berlin because you had so many people you were talking to. So there was a queue of people trying to talk to you every time I went past.
Man of the people, you see. So
people person.
People person. That's one thing my wife wouldn't say I am, but that's another.
Great. Thanks for your time, Mike, and we will speak to you soon. Thanks for listening to another episode of What Moves Us. We hope we moved you. For more episodes, you'll definitely want to subscribe to our channel.
Until next time.